It is the SMT Media Network, back with another video. This one, NBA, Atlanta Hawks, I think visiting the Celtics, if I remember correctly, and the Hawks pulled out the overtime win. Missed the game, but had to go back and watch some of the plays. I think I watched probably maybe 50 or 60% of the scoring plays and some of the important defensive plays. And man, I get the impression that this game probably shouldn't have ended this way. But the Celtics' lack of execution down to the wire, not good. All right, so let's take a look at what happened in this game that I believe that the Celtics should have won. Or at least I guess you could say they choked it away or blew it. All right, so the Hawks came out. Obviously, in these types of games, you go with the heavy favorites. I'm sure the Celtics were the betting favorite, hosting the Hawks. But, these are games that are within the conference, and they may mean certain things to different teams, right? So I've seen the Hawks really play up to their competition this year. They beat the Cavs twice. I think they've beaten the Celtics at least twice, if not more. I'll have to go back and check the records and the schedules, but Celtics were up 12 after one. And the Hawks had a really, really good second quarter, locking things up. They held the Celtics to 15 in the second quarter. And that actually, I believe, gave them the lead going into the second half. The Celtics had a lull of a third quarter, or excuse me, had a good third quarter, and then a lull of a fourth quarter in which they just didn't execute well at the end, and it put the game into OT. Ice Tray, at the end of the fourth quarter, got just this crazy foul call. Just should not have happened. The Celtics, I think it was Derek White, reaching, trying to get in the way, preventing the three-point attempt. Trey ended up with free throws. Stupid play. So dumb. Completely unnecessary. Should not have happened. That put the game into OT as Ice Tray hit the free throws to put the game into overtime. And then in overtime, the Hawks just played a little bit harder, a little bit smarter, and ended up with 15 points in OT, winning the game 119 to 115. Looking at some of the important factors in the game, we always look for the story, right? What exactly happened? The Celtics didn't shoot well from the field. Neither team shot well from three. Celtics just a shade under 29%. The Hawks 24%. The Celtics get the edge in free throw shooting, but the Hawks took more free throws. Total rebounds, +2 edge to the Hawks. Offensive rebounds, +4 edge to the Celtics. So they definitely had a chance to win this game based on getting some nice second chance opportunities. But when I'm looking at these, like the points in the paint, for example, the Hawks just killed them. It was they 60 to 42. Right? Turnovers, the Hawks actually turned the ball over 3 more times than the Celtics. All right, so really it was just the fact that the Hawks actually shot pretty poorly, but got some easy looks in the paint, and I think that was the difference maker. So let's take a look at some individual efforts here from the Hawks. You got 14 from Jalen Johnson, 5 of 13 shooting. He was 0 for 2 in threes. Trae Young, 10 of 23 from the field, just 3 of 10 from 3, ended the game with 28 points, 11 assists. And then I think it was Dyson Daniels who had the really good game, 23 points, 11 of 14 shooting on 40 minutes of action, 1 for 3 from 3. So they didn't shoot the ball particularly well, at least not the starting lineup. You did get some support off of the bench. I saw Okongwu making some really, really good plays in the second half. 6 of 10 field goals, 32 minutes of action off the bench, 2 of 3 from 3, 5 of 7 on the free throws, 13 rebounds, had 4 blocks. He was really, really active. So this is a game that I think the Hawks really shouldn't have won, but ended up winning just because they did enough to execute towards the end. Now for the Celtics, what I consider to be a bad loss, I mean, look at some of these numbers. Tatum, 7 of 21 in 43 minutes of action. 2 of 9 from 3. And this is something I've talked to or spoken to about NBA players in general, but some of these teams, like especially the Celtics, when the 3 ball doesn't fall, just They don't care. They just keep chucking them up, right? They had 52 threes tonight. 15 of 52. I can't tell you guys how many times I've watched the Celtics shoot more than 50 threes in a game and make less than 25-30% of them. The hell are we doing? It's games like those they basically are signing up to lose. Stop taking the threes. I understand that some of your guys can hit them, but what are we talking about here? Derek White, 5 of 16. It's not like the worst ever, but 16 threes for Derek White. You're not Steph Curry, dog. You ain't, Kyle Korver, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. You ain't that, bro. 5 of 16. He was 7 of 20 from the field overall. Drew Holiday didn't give you that much. Got you 8 points. Luke Cornett starting got you 17. I'd say that's a pretty welcome outcome. That's pretty good. In terms of rebounding, Jaylen Brown led the team in rebounding with 11. You might lose that game if Jaylen Brown's your leading rebounder. Sam Hauser, 0 for 7 from the field, 0 for 5 from the 3. Peyton Pritchard gave you a little bit tonight. That was pretty nice. 20 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 4 of 8 from 3. Been a pretty consistent contributor so far this year. Lots of guys not active. Al Horford with the sprained left big toe didn't play. Kristaps Porzingis did not play with a lower leg injury. Pretty customary for him. Hardly ever plays. So the bench was limited. You didn't have much to go with, right? So the starters played a ton of minutes, but a very poor shooting. Maybe it was the fact that you didn't have your best offensive options out there. But I mean, can I speak to Jason Tatum? 3 turnovers. Jaylen Brown, 4 turnovers. Your stars turn the ball over a little bit. They're not egregious or anything, but your main guys shot poorly. They turned the ball over a little bit, and you didn't get much off the bench. And the Hawks made you pay. But the Hawks, guys, don't get it twisted. The Hawks did not play well, but the Celtics played worse, especially down the line in key moments. So I made a video last week talking about the Celtics. Am I worried about the Celtics, right? Does this mean, because they're not as dominant as they were last year, does this mean they can't win the finals? Of course they can win the finals. Of course they can get to the finals. That team is essentially the same roster that got there last year and won it. It just seems that this year, whatever the philosophy is, whatever the mission is night in and night out, they just seem a little unfocused. They seem a little inconsistent. And, they've got the rest of the year to kind of get to that point. It's not about losing to the Hawks. The Hawks are a good team. The Hawks have beat the Cavs. They beat the Celtics. They play up to their competition. They have a nice young core of players. And their length on the perimeter, their ability to defend some of the better players in the league gets them in games and keeps them in games. And, they've got players that can make plays. So, and I want to give their defense more credit than I think it deserves. They don't get it, right? They don't get the credit they deserve. The Hawks are a tough team night in and night out. But the Celtics should be beating the Hawks, right? They shouldn't be losing so frequently. But, the Celtics just seem to me a little bit unfocused. I think their philosophy on offense needs to be adjusted. 50 plus threes a game, like 2-3 times a week. It's getting egregious. And for the coaching staff to continue to kind of overlook this or promote it, whatever is going on there, I mean, they should not be surprised by their outcomes. These are games that they could have won, but didn't because of poor execution. We've seen the Celtics get, have their opponents execute better than them down at the end of these games. I think Jason Tatum bails you out too much as a defense, just jacking up threes, taking those bad shots at the end of shot clocks or whenever. It should not be your primary play just to jack up a three. If it's in the flow of the offense, you live with it, it's fine. But should Al Horford be taking 8-9 threes a game? Should Derek White really be taking 15 threes a game, 16 threes a game? It's just not what you should be doing, in my opinion. And I'm not sure, how that flow worked out, like how he got so many threes. Maybe because, Kristaps was inactive. Maybe some of that plays a part, and some of those shots would have gone to Al Horford. Like some of that stuff. So it's not that you lost to the Hawks. It's that you lost to the Hawks in a way where you probably should have won the game because the Hawks didn't really play that great. So again, the question of concern level for the Celtics, not overly concerned. I think I rated it a 2 out of 10 the last video. I'm going to keep it at a 2 out of 10. But some of the ways that they're finding to lose these games is ridiculous. And I think just the players need to look at themselves in the mirror, say, am I playing the game the right way for us to win like we did last year? And I think the answer to that right now is no. They're looking at themselves in the mirror and watching their film. They're not executing well. They're not playing well. This isn't the same philosophy, I would say, as last week with respect to effort, night in and night out, and playing smart key moments of the games. I don't have any doubts that the Celtics can turn it around. They just need consistency, and they need to execute at the end of these games. And some of these games are wins. So their record right now stands at 29-13. The games I've watched where they've lost, the Celtics should probably have 34, 35 wins. Some of these losses really should not have happened. They just need to play better. There's a pedigree of winning there. They just need to play better.